Welcome everybody to another Motocross Action video. I'm Josh Mosman and this is the 2025 Yamaha YZ450. The YZ450F was all new in 2023, and since then, it's won MXA's 450 Shootout the last 2 years in a row. We love this 450 engine. Yamaha is gnarly power on the track. We also love the nimble character of the new YZ450F generation bike. But with that comes a little bit of instability in the front end, and Yamaha thankfully made a long list of updates for 2025. Starting with the suspension, they updated the settings in the KYB SSS forks and the rear shock. And working together with the new suspension updates is a new linkage with a stiffer leverage ratio to make for less pitching front to rear. Yamaha is the #1 manufacturer for changing engine mounts. It seems like every 2 years they have new engine mounts. This year for 2025, they revised the front mounts here to also work with the suspension and linkage to manage that front end shake and make this bike a little more stable. As far as the engine goes, the only update for 2025 comes inside of the clutch. They got more holes for more oil flow to keep the clutch a little bit cooler and improve durability. As far as the foot peg brackets go, we always complained about getting our foot caught on the bracket and not being able to position it right on the foot pegs. Thankfully for 2025, they shaved down the foot peg bracket to hopefully ensure we don't stand on it. And lastly, Yamaha made some minor updates to the controls. Up here on the map switch, they added a little bit of protection for both durability against water and also protection for hitting your chest on the bar so you're not changing your map or turning the bike off whenever you make a mistake like that. Also, throttle tube has been pushed out 10 mil so that it's not up against the throttle housing here, and the seat cover, it's a little more grippy for 2025. So today we have multiple test riders going to be shaking down this 2025 model. We also have a 2024 model that we'll be able to compare to it to see exactly how big the changes are. Let's have some fun. Always impressed when manufacturers go the extra mile to address the complaints that we've written about in our MXA tested articles. The Yamaha R&D crew, they're the most sensitive crew, but they're also the most ambitious crew. At least the Yamaha R&D crew that's based here in the US, they really wear their hearts on their sleeves and they put all they have into making their motorcycles the best they possibly can. So with that, the 2025 addressed the complaints that we had with the 24 model, and today MXA's Dennis Stapleton and Josh Fout, along with Ezra Lewis and Zach Wiley, they all four of those guys rode this bike. But Dennis and Josh, let's see what they thought about the 25 model and how it compared to the 2024 model. Yamaha was nice enough to bring us a fresh 24 to compare with this fresh 25 to really pick apart the differences.
So the big question is, did Yamaha improve their 2025 model? As Josh Mosman gave you the rundown on all the changes, Josh and I got to spin some laps today on the 25 model at our home track, Glen Helen, so immediately we could pick out all the flaws or pluses. Immediately noticed that the balance was a lot easier to pick out on this bike, less head shake going into Talladega, and a little less roll up on the rear of the bike exiting the turns. What did you feel today, Josh?
Let's just start by saying yes. The bike was better. All right. Simply, it is a better Yamaha. The mapping's better, the suspension could be better, but overall, a better bike.
One thing that stood out for you, if you had to pick one thing that was noticeable today for you, what would you pick out and point that's better?
Let's start with the mapping. I noticed from 24 to 25 model, and thank you Yamaha for bringing out that 2024 YZ450 to compare with. The mapping is very different. It's a much smoother, maybe a more linear on bottom, but still has that Yamaha horsepower that everybody loves. And then from there, the other noticeable thing would be the fork. The crust of the fork is a lot softer than last year. It's a little more compliant, probably more vet friendly. It can be stiffened and good for guys like us. All right, Dennis, let's dive a little more into mapping in the clutch and how it affects the bike.
You know, right off off the bat, I noticed how much smoother, easy crack of the throttle this bike was. Last year we had the opportunity to try the hydraulic clutch, which was really like drag you out, really mellowed the bike out, where the cable clutch, which comes on this bike, is really poppy. So I did some modifications, drilling more holes, getting more oil flow through the clutch to get a better feel in this cable clutch. Overall, yes, mapping was improved, but we did get a little bit of a pop in over rev today, both of us.
We did. We got some lean pop on over rev. It was a hot day, about 105 here at Glen Helen, but second gear in corners, second gear does pull really far, so it is a positive. Third in sweepers, it's just a good bike. It's really easy to ride.
But I did notice that third gear was pulled down a little bit less, really similar to the hydraulic clutch that we tested last year on this bike, which Yamaha offers. But second gear was a lot easier to roll on and get up the hills and not lose too much traction and not wheelie. Where last year's bike, everyone's complaint was, well, we're always wheeling, right? This bike drove forward today, which was a huge improvement.
All right, Dennis, we know the 2024 model is a bit sketchy. It's a bit busy in the front. It shakes at high speeds. What did you notice on 25?
Well, right off the bat, definitely was a lot more calm on turn entrance. And then one of the other issues we had on acceleration at the end of the turn, the Yamaha wanted to roll up a little bit. The new bike definitely drove forward and stayed leaned over in the position that you had the bike positioned at. Definitely was much easier to get on the gas on this ultra fast bike. So what changes did you do to the bike today to help improve what you wanted out of the machine?
Well, normally what we did on the 24 model is we were sliding the forks down, playing with high speed, doing a bunch of junk on the shock. Today it was pretty simple. So I really went in stiffer on compression on the fork licks, get that hold up in the ride height I liked. I went out a quarter turn on shock high speed to get the bike a little lower. It was much more positive improvement and easier to do.
So one of the other huge improvements today, that's a small change, but big improvement, foot peg mounts. We've complained about it for the last 2 years. Yamaha updated and made the foot peg mount more flush with their foot peg to get more clamping surface area for your feet, and you're no longer putting your feet in a weird position, so props to Yamaha on that. Another change they made was the front engine mount. That was 2 4mm mounts previous to 1 8mm mount in the front, stiffening the bike up, trying to get that more plush feel out of the front of the forks on this bike.
All right, Dennis, we're noticing a trend that manufacturers are stiffening portions of the motorcycle and the frame to affect the suspension. What were you thinking?
Yeah, stiffer linkage, softer spring rates, front engine mount, 2 4mm mounts to 1 8mm.
Yep.
Definitely the manufacturers are all kind of in a trend. We just got done testing the Honda. We rode it in Indiana. We got it back here in California. Honda's kind of on the same trend as stiffening the chassis to get a better feel out of the fork and shock.
On this 25 YZ, there's a couple things we really like. First is the compression clickers on the forks. I was doing this compression, getting the clicks I want without having to go back and get the R&D guys to change for me because I don't know, I'm not going to carry a screwdriver. Another thing, I get Yamaha thumb really bad on this bike. This updated throttle tube, you can see it's 10 mils away. I usually have to run grip donuts. You can see my thumbs are intact today. Other than that, Power Tuner app, it's really easy to use. It was easy to change maps. We got the stock map, we got a mellow map, and there's also a few things we don't like.
Even though Josh likes the updated throttle tube, grips are kind of outdated for me. They're hard with less feeling when lots of companies have glue-on grips with lots of comfort. The side panel over here has an Allen bolt and an 8 bolt. Got to grab multiple tools. I know why the Allen bolt's there, so it sits nice and flush, but multiple tools is also a downfall. And this seat, the seat is a rough one. The seat, if you're not real tough, it will rub you raw.
So the Yamaha YZ450F retails for $9,999. So thank you to Yamaha for not upping the price, even though they made a significant list of updates to this bike. Awesome to hear that both Dennis and Josh, as well as Ezra and Zach, all liked the changes that they made to the YZ450F. On the dyno, this thing hit 58.5 horsepower and 35 foot-pounds of torque, but that was last year. We did find out that they did update the mapping, so this is not even in the Yamaha press release, but Dennis and Josh Fout, they worked like a couple canines on the police department, sniffing out the details and sniffing out the changes to this bike, and they figured out the mapping was quite a bit smoother. We did confirm with Yamaha, they did make a small change, but they didn't even mention in their press release, so that was cool to hear. One thing, Yamaha 450, you have to be very careful with the airbox up here. We do like Yamaha's Power Flow kit because it does actually help mellow out the power and give you a little better sealing to make sure you don't get dirt going into the intake. So it's different. It's also loud. YZ450F is known for being a loud machine. We recently posted a exhaust shootout video on the YZ450F. You can check that out on our channel where we tested FMF, Pro Circuit, HGS, DRD, Yoshimura, and I think that was all of them. 5 different exhausts, and they all were meant to smoothen out the power, so cool to see the Yamaha made this bike a little bit smoother for 2025. This thing is kind of hard to get on, but either way, I'm excited to shake this thing down in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited that all of our guys liked it so far today. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. We recently tested the 2025 Honda CRF 450, also the 2025 Kawasaki KX 450, and we're looking forward to testing more bikes here soon. Subscribe to the MXA YouTube channel if you like what we're doing, and let us know in the comments what you want to know about this bike in an upcoming test.
Yeah, simply. They better mapping bent over you. So there's the map. Want to you got the map, and then good
For sure.
Yeah. Right. And we got it's just on this 20.